In this section, we're going to talk about rational exponents. If you're planning on taking calculus or any sort of higher level math class, this is super important. So, a rational exponent is basically something that looks like this: a to the 1/2. Okay, so far we've been doing problems that have like a to the third power or a to the fourth power. So something that looks like that. But we haven't really done things that have a fraction. So what exactly is it? So what we're gonna try to look for is things that look like a to the 1 over n or a to the m over n. So what do these actually mean? We're not quite sure what they are. So if you think about it, let's say we had a to the 1/2. Okay, so a to the 1/2. What would happen if I square this? A to the 1/2 power, and I square this thing. Well, what's going to happen is that the 1/2 times a 2 is going to become a 1, so I'm going to get an 8. Okay, so basically, squaring it undoes what the 1/2 power does. So, and we already know what is the opposite of squaring something, and that's actually taking the square root. So basically, this 8 to the 1/2 kind of reminds me of the square root of 8, but squared, because that also gives me 8. So what you can conclude is that a to the 1 over n is going to be the nth root of a. That's what that is. Okay, so whenever you have a power like this, right, and you wanna and you have a fraction, it's just basically you're taking the nth root of it. So let's do some examples. And what you want to do for these examples is rewrite the following two radicals. Okay, that's what we want to do. Okay, so here's my first one. So let's say we had x to the 1/3. Okay, well, x to the 1/3, if you look back up here, all it is just the denominator is just the radical of whatever the number is. So in this case, the denominator is 3, so this is going to be the cubed root of x. That's going to be my answer. Okay, so what do you think x to the 1/6 is going to be? Okay, so this is 6 is going to say what root it is, so it's going to be the 6th root of x. That is my answer. Okay, so let's try this one. What do you think 5x to the power of 1/3 is going to be? Okay, so this 3 hasn't changed. It's just going to be the cubed root of this entire thing, 5x. Okay. All right, and so on and so forth. So basically, that's all it is. Let me do another example. Let's say we had 16 to the 1/2. Well, 1/2 is just a square root of 16, and the square root of 16 is just 4. So 16 to the 1/2 is just 4. Now, one thing that you can do is that you can also put this in the calculator. You can take the number, raise it to the power of whatever the fraction is, and that's going to be your answer. Okay, now let's go to another thing. So let's say we had something that looks like this. So before we go to the next one, let me do this really quickly. So let's say you have something called negative exponents. So many of you guys may already know what a negative exponent does, but just in case you didn't, this is what it is. So let's say you had x to the power of negative n. Okay, so what this basically does is you're gonna take this whole thing, put it to the bottom, and make it positive. That's what a negative exponent does. So for example, if you had x to the negative 2, this is gonna be 1 over x squared. Okay, so when you put 1 over, immediately that changes it to a positive. Okay, so what do you think x to the negative 1/4 is gonna be? Okay, well, this is going to be 1 over x to the 1/4 because it made it positive. Now, what about in radical notation? Well, this is going to be 1 over the 4th root of x. That's what that's going to be. What do you think 16 to the power of negative 1/4 is going to be? Well, in order to change it from a negative, you have to put it to the bottom. So it's going to be 1 over 16 to the 1/4. I can rewrite this as 1 over the 4th root of 16. I can decompose this 16 as 4 and 4, and then 2 and 2. So basically I have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. I'm looking for fourths. So here is a fourth of 2's. It's going to come out. So it's going to be 1 over 2. And then what's left over in the 4th root? Nothing's left over. So it's just going to be 1 over 2. Okay? All right. So that's basically what a rational exponent is. So right now we've done problems that look like this. So like these parts. Okay? Now what exactly is this am to over n? Okay, so what do we do with that? So if you have let me choose a different color. If you have m to the power of n, well, I can always rewrite this the following way. A to the 1 over n times m, because 1 over n times m is just going to give me m over n. Okay, I already know what a to the 1 over n is. That's just going to be the nth root of a. This whole thing is to the power of m. And actually, this tells me that I have m of these, so this is going to be the nth root of a to the m. Okay, so basically, if you have m over n, this is going to be, this denominator is going to tell you what the nth root, what kind of root it is. That's the nth root. And then this one's just going to stay on the inside, a to the m. Okay, that's all it is. Okay, so this is really important. Okay, so let's do some examples. So what do you think x to the power of 2/3 is going to be? Okay, don't simplify, let's just rewrite it. Rewrite it as a radical. Rewrite as radical. Okay, so remember the denominator is going to stay this. It's going to be the root. So that's going to be the cubed root of x squared. Okay, that's going to be my answer. Okay. What is going to be z to the power of 2/9? Okay, so that 9 is going to be the 9th root. So 9th root, and then the squared is going to stay in the inside, z squared. Okay, what is going to be 4x squared to the power of 3 over 7? Okay, so 7 is going to be the root, which is going to be the 7th root. The inside is just going to be 4x squared raised to the power of 3. Okay, then later on you can simplify it a little bit more, but let's just practice just rewriting everything. Okay, let's do one more. What is going to be xy to the power of 3 halves? So the half is, this 2 is going to be this type of square root. So it's the square root. And then the inside, we're just going to have xy to the power of 3. Okay? So these are going to be my solutions. Okay? So in the next video, we're going to do a whole bunch of problems where we're combining stuff. And then we are going to do add, subtract, multiply, and divide.